I don't know what
this video of Peter Thiel that is absolutely incredible. It's him defending the United Healthcare CEO, basically saying, don't kill CEOs. But you have to remember, before I play this clip, you have to remember, he's a billionaire, first of all. So he is a member of the billionaire class. He is in the ruling elite. He, in fact, paid for and created, essentially, J.D. Vance, who is now the vice president, or will soon be the vice president. And Peter Thiel is a weapons contractor. A lot of his money, his first money came from PayPal, but a lot of his money comes from Palantir, which is almost entirely funded by the Pentagon and the U.S. government for weapons contracting, surveillance, all that shit. This is a CEO weapons contractor. Like, that's what Peter Thiel is. And it is one of the most that's one of the most horrifying things you can be, right? Like, if you were to rank the most rank CEOs, if you were to rank the most horrific CEOs, people would probably put the health insurance guys towards the top, and then, maybe big oil. But I bet you top 3 to 4 is weapons contractors, CEOs. And so it's understandable that he would say, like, this is very bad and do not murder CEOs. But instead, he has a really tough time answering this question. And I think it's because he also wants to be loved as like some sort of libertarian firebrand, which is hilarious. You're not a libertarian when you're taking hundreds of millions of dollars in welfare from the U.S. government to fund your weapons contracting. That's not libertarian at all. But he wants to pretend he's like libertarian. So I guess that's, his qualm with just answering this question. It's pretty amazing, though.
And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know what to say. I think I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Piers,
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but I don't think. And I think the motives feel. I don't want to go into all the particulars here, but I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
He is so uncomfortable answering that question. So uncomfortable. You have to be a bit of a sociopath to have that much trouble answering the question. He's just so nervous. Like, also, I think that in like 100 years, but maybe it feels like 20 years, people are going to look back at videos of this time and go, why was everyone so greasy? Seems like a lot of people were greasy. Was there a grease issue? Was the air greasier back then? What was everybody so greasy? I mean, I think actually this idea was kind of mocked in, even though I make a lot of fun of how terrible he is. But when I was 16, I liked him. Adam Sandler's Billy Madison at the end, the guy gets a question about business ethics because he's like a big fraudster and he's completely flummoxed. He can't answer a question on business ethics because he's completely unethical. And he stammers and he goes, and that's kind of the big closing moment of the movie. Well, this is kind of similar. It's like Peter Thiel's not used to really getting questions about ethics because there's nothing ethical about him. He is a horrific person. He makes his money by weapons contracting, and he has done everything he can. I mean, funding J.D. Vance, but also funding many Republicans, funding far right-wing think tanks and stuff like that. He makes his money sorry, not makes his money. He has funded these things because he wants to crush anything that helps people. And in fact, I covered the clips of him with Joe Rogan, and he was asked by Joe Rogan, if you were, emperor of the world, what would you do? There's a million answers to that, right? I think if you or me were asked that, we might say step one, you're going through the steps. Step one, give everybody clean water, because number one killer in the world is dirty water. Maybe you'd say step one, free all the political prisoners, because it's horrific, all the prisoners in this world. You might do that. You might say free all the slaves in this world, because there's actually more slaves now than there were 100 years ago. Million places you might go. Peter Thiel he goes, step one, basically says limit Social Security. I can't remember how he phrases it. He might phrase it as like making it more efficient or whatever bullshit libertarian phrasing. Step one, you're ruler of the world. You're emperor of the world. How do you make it better? Step one, get rid of Social Security. Because old people need to fucking slave away at jobs they hate. We got to bring that back. Like, that's his step one. He's not even, it wasn't even number 25. Number one is get rid of Social Security. That's the type of lunatic we're talking about here. And I think the reason he has so much strong is because he's been asked about like an ethical situation, like what's the ethical thing to do? What's ethical about these health companies that are destroying lives and killing millions, possibly millions of people with their business practices? And